Friend groups will change. Dating, just talk to people. Junior year. Guys in high school are so immature. Probably the worst year of my life. You should run. You're probably not gonna find the love of your life in high school. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing all of the advice about high school, friends, dating, drama, classes, anything, you name it. I'm going to be spilling all the tea. Before we get into this video, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss anything I post and comment other ideas that you want to see from me. So let's get into the video. As you guys know, I just graduated high school and I just wanted to make a video with all the things that I wish I knew before high school or just throughout my time as a high school student. So before I get into any topic specifically, I thought I would just give a general overview of each of the different grades and kind of my experience with them, and then I'll go into more specific topics. So first up, we have freshman year. So this year when I was a freshman, we were just coming off of COVID, so it was definitely a weird year. We had to wear masks for a lot of it, and there was all these shields in front of the teacher's desk, and it was just different. And all people were constantly getting quarantined, and you were trying not to hang out with people if they had COVID, so then you would have to get quarantined. It was just the whole thing. So overall, I would say it's just about learning everything. So you're just getting a feel for what high school is like, learning about your high school. Lots of kids go to a new school. It's just about learning where your classes are, what the expectations are, how well you know your teachers, that kind of thing. So it's just a lot of figuring stuff out. I would say it's definitely a lot of core memories. Looking back, freshman PE, it's not something you think would be super fun. And I'm not super athletic, I'm a dancer, but outside of that, not the greatest. But it was honestly just fun, just so many fun times. I feel during freshman year, it was definitely a huge shift in my friend group. One specific event, we all just know it in my friend group because it's literally the day that we completely split. But freshman year was one to remember. Okay, next up is sophomore year, and in my personal opinion, sophomore year is definitely the most fun year. Just for me, academically, it wasn't too hard yet. I had the best friends. I feel we hung out a ton. We did lots of super cool things. That was also the year that I went to Disneyland, I went to a concert, I went to a dance convention, so that could have just been my personal life was also good, but for me, I just feel sophomore year was really good. Okay, junior year. Do I need to say anything else? So if you haven't heard, if no one scared you yet, I might have to be the one. Junior year is a lot. It is probably the worst year of my life, not to scare you. Just academically, it was really challenging. All my friends, we were just it was just a struggle bus at lunch. We were all just dying, and yeah. I also took 3 honors classes in advanced math, so that could have been on me. So maybe don't do that if you're wanting to be happy. It's definitely the most important year academically. That's the year that you're taking the ACT. Everyone's starting to be next year when you're a senior, da 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 da, and it's kind of they're scaring you, and there's just a lot that goes on, but you just gotta push through. That's all I gotta say. Senior year. It will all be worth it for senior year. All the death you experience, all the crying and depression. I'm being a little dramatic, but all the bad things you experience junior year, it's all worth it because senior year, if you're like me, you get a shorter day. I got out at 11:40. That was amazing. You're starting to gain your independence, you're figuring out your life plans, you're starting to get a glimpse of what life's gonna look like after high school, and just sort of get excited about that because up until now, you feel your whole life you're just going to school, the same school, you just come home, do your homework, and it just kind of feels repetitive. So senior year, you're finally starting to figure out what's gonna happen. And I was lucky, I actually committed to a college before I even started my senior year. So I think that made it way less stressful for me because I know my friends, a lot of them were stressed out about they didn't know what they wanted to do yet and they were trying to figure all that out. But it definitely made it a lot easier for me that I was already committed. So if that works out for you, that's great. Otherwise, there's definitely not any pressure. You can totally figure that out as the year goes, but that was just my experience. Okay, so now that I've sort of giving a little bit of background information about all the grades, I'm gonna get into more specific topics. So the first one I would just say is general school information. So the first topic I want to talk about is lockers. So I know for my school, it is not necessarily required that you have to have a locker every year. It's kind of up to you, and you do have to pay for it. So with that, I would just say kind of make sure you have a feel for how many classes you're gonna have, like how many binders or textbooks you're gonna need, and just kind of figure out if that's gonna be worth it for you. Like if you need a place to put your lunch, or if you do a sport, you'll probably want a locker just to keep your sports bag in there, just different stuff like that. So I know for me, I had a locker freshman, sophomore, and junior year, and then senior year, I did not need one whatsoever. So just kind of like figure that out. It's kind of more of a personalized decision based off what works best for you. Next up, I want to talk about honors classes. So for me, I took a ton of honors classes, mostly starting junior and senior year, but also a little bit when I was an underclassman. 100% worth it. Like you're in class with people who actually somewhat care, who actually somewhat try, and the teachers are going to take you more seriously. Oftentimes you hear honors classes is more work, which in certain aspects, yes, but mostly no. Mostly it's a less busy work. So I know a lot of times there were like things that honors kids didn't have to do because like we didn't need to do them. So it's not as scary as you think. Like I would totally recommend. Next up is dual enrollment. So this is sort of like, depends on your school. If they offer, there's dual enrollment, there's AP, it's sort of the same. It's basically college credit. I would highly recommend this if that's an option for you and if your families can afford it, because it does cost like a certain amount of money to be able to enroll in the class, but it gives you college credit. So because of all the dual enrollment that I've done, I am on track to graduate college in 3 years instead of 4. So it is definitely worth it. Okay, next up, I'm going to be talking about friends. This is definitely a very important aspect of high school, and I feel like the friends that you have can make or break your high school experience in a way. So first off, I'm just gonna hit you with a little bit of a tough concept, and that is friend groups will change. Don't expect your same friends that you had in middle school or the same friends that you have the summer before freshman year to last you all the way through senior year. That's just ultimately not realistic. So for me, I know my friend group started out as a certain way freshman year and I did not even like it. And I wasn't even happy with it, honestly. And then it sort of like shifted and changed. And honestly, I feel like I had the best friends junior and senior year. So if your friend group is changing and if there seems to be drama, honestly, like don't be too caught up in that and don't be too concerned, because trust, it's gonna work out how it's supposed to. I also forgot to mention that I'm answering some of the questions that you guys asked me on YouTube and Instagram. So I'm just gonna be combining them all plus like my own advice. So just throwing that in there. So one question that I got is like what to do when people steal your friends or just friend groups changing in general. And with that, I'm just gonna say, if your friend can get stolen from you, they probably weren't ever your real friend. Like if someone can just swoop in and they're gonna forget all about you, like you should run. Like you should not be trying to like get that back, because if you're that easy to forget, then like they are not the friend for you. Along with that, people will change, and that's okay. Sometimes friends are going to start gravitating towards other friend groups, and that's happened to me several times, and I know it's a little bit hard. Like, it's definitely sad to see one of your friends go into another group, but honestly, like, when that happened to me with one of my friends, I still stayed in touch with her, like, throughout high school. Like, we were still friends. And that leads me into my next piece of advice, which is to have friends outside of your friend group. So while I definitely think it's important to have, like, a sort of main friend group that you would want to hang out with or want to hang out with at homecoming or prom or whatever, I would highly recommend having friends outside of that group. Not only is that going to make your classes more fun because you're going to be more likely to have friends in your classes, but that's also just going to help you when maybe there's drama in your group, you have other people to talk to, or just having more options of people that you want to hang out with. I would definitely recommend that. Next up, I would say that you can find friends in unlikely places. Like, I had one class which was like juniors and sophomores, and I was a junior at that time, but I got placed at a table with a sophomore, and we did not know each other whatsoever before that. I don't even think we knew each other's names, and we literally just hit it off, and I've been friends with her ever since. Like, we like communicate on socials like every day. We've hung out multiple times already this summer, even after I graduate. And honestly, those are just the friendships that make school even more fun to come to. I guess I shouldn't say even more fun. Slightly fun to come to, because they can just make you look forward to a class or make you, I don't know, feel like your day's a little bit more fun. Staying in the friends category, I would tell you to just talk to people. One of the best friends that I've had throughout high school, we started off just talking in one class. So I remember that she sat in front of me, I sat behind, and we were supposed to talk to the people around you about this question, whatever the teacher had said. And afterwards, I was so scared to like make an actual conversation once we had talked about like what we were supposed to do, but I remember just like full sending it. And then just because of that one effort from me and then also her putting an effort, we literally became best friends. So it's like, it only takes that one moment and that one act of confidence to make like a best friend. So my next piece of advice would be that first impressions aren't always correct. Oh, one of my other best friends, it's just kind of funny because we always just have this story that we tell people. When we first met each other, we did not like each other. Like, she thought I was like sort of stuck up. I thought that she was just this like random person that was trying to like latch into our friend group and like wasn't even trying to talk to us, but I don't know. We both just did not like each other, and then we started to actually talk and hang out, and we became best friends, and we found out that we had so much in common. I've had some of my like most fun memories ever with her, and because of that. So definitely give people a shot, and if you don't like someone at first or you think they don't like you, just keep trying to like put in the work and it will go somewhere eventually. Last up in the friend category, drama is like just way less than in middle school. You can find a group without drama, and that's kind of that. Like, you don't need to be fighting over like the same dumb stuff as you were in middle school. You don't need to be like having a new problem every week. Like, no. If you're consistently running into drama, remove yourself from the equation and find a better situation. Dating. Honestly, don't waste your time. Like, it doesn't last. Like, especially guys in high school are so immature. And I personally never dated in high school because I'm like, I'm not gonna dumb myself down just to like have a little boyfriend for a couple months because they're just not mature. And honestly, like, it only leads to heartbreak. I think I know like maybe 2 couples that are still together from high school, and mostly they've all just broken up. It's all just been a whole thing. Yeah, you're probably not gonna find the love of your life in high school. Like, I'm just gonna put that out there. Some people do. I don't know how likely it is. That's all I'm gonna say on that. Okay, so the next category I'm going to be talking about is hobbies and activities. So the first tip I would say is you have as much fun as you let yourself have. So I remember in certain activities or school events or whatever, if I go into it with a bad attitude, like, oh, this is stupid, like, I don't want to be here, like, why are we doing this? Then I did not have that much fun. However, if you go into an activity excited for it and just open to whatever it's going to bring you, honestly, you're going to have a way better time. Another thing I want to talk about is trips. These are some of the best memories that I have from high school. So if you have a chance to go on a trip, whether that's with a class, with your friends, with your grade, or just anything, I would highly recommend it. I went on several trips with choir. I went on a lot of trips with my school does like this camp every year. And honestly, it's just the most fun just being with your friends in a different environment, like sleeping over somewhere or like staying in a hotel or just like a cabin or wherever you are. It's honestly just like a great bonding experience when you're like with a couple people for like 24 hours or 48 hours or a couple days, whatever. It's just honestly so fun and you're not going to regret doing it. So next up with that, I would say get involved. So whether that's a club, a sport, a leadership role, or anything, I would highly recommend getting involved. I know that it can be scary or it can seem like, oh, I have a lot on my plate already, but it's definitely worth it and it's definitely going to make your high school experience a lot better. Next, I would say be strategic and do things for your college app. So what I mean by that is do things that are going to look good on your college application. So I know a lot of schools have National Honor Society, which it takes a lot of service hours and a lot of like hard work and like good grades, teacher recommendations to get into it, but it looks super good on your application. So I would definitely recommend that. And personally for my school, they have like tons of little clubs. Like we had student ambassadors, which we barely had to do anything for. I was in it all 4 years, but you get like an extra like stole at graduation or like a tassel or whatever. And it's definitely worth it for in terms of leadership roles and just like looking good on your application, and it's pretty low commitment. So if your school has options like that, I would definitely recommend looking into it. So next I'm going to talk about hobbies or sports. So I would recommend that everyone finds something that they're passionate about and that they love to do in their free time outside of school so that your whole life doesn't revolve around homework and school. So whether that's sports, theater, choir, art, or gymnastics, anything outside of school, I would definitely recommend finding something that you love to do. So for me, that was dance. I danced for 10 years growing up, and that was pretty much my life, and I have some of my favorite memories ever from dance. And it helped me grow as a person, it helped me improve myself in different areas, it helped me make a lot of friends, and my life would definitely not be the same without it. So definitely do something outside of school. Next up with that, I want to say that some things are only meant to serve you for a season. So whether that's friend groups, hobbies, classes at school, just because you liked something 1 year or it felt really great 1 year doesn't mean that that's always going to be a good fit for you. So I know some of my friends did cheer for several years, and then the coaches changed and their friend groups changed, our priorities changed, and they just kind of realized, like, even though it was really great when we did it, if we did it the next year, it would only just be because of what it used to be and not because of what it is now. So just make sure when you're evaluating your choices of like things you want to keep doing or things you want to drop, just keep in mind that you're sure that you still love it and not just did in the past. Next, I want to say, don't feel pressure to do things you don't want to do. So I know for me, I did one class throughout my high school years, and at the beginning, it was super fun. Okay, so my camera actually just died, so I'm going to be filming the rest of this video on my phone, so don't mind that. So what I was just talking about when I got cut off is that don't feel pressure to do things that you don't want to do. So I know for me, I did one class all throughout high school, but the first couple years that I did it, it was amazing. I had so much fun. I look forward to it every day. The community was great, and like I loved everyone in it, and it was just like super great for me to be in. However, as the years went on, it just started changing a little bit, and like the people changed, the teacher was just kind of running class differently, and it just like wasn't what it used to be. And that was on me for staying in it because honestly, I was like not happy. I was probably like contributing to like a negative class environment because I wasn't enjoying it. I wasn't able to give my best because I no longer loved what I was doing. But I just kind of felt pressured by like several different people to like keep on doing it. So I would definitely like suggest against that. Just be aware that you might always love something the way that you used to, and that's totally fine. You can definitely find a new class or a new hobby or a new friend group, whatever that is for you. Just don't stay in something that's toxic just because you feel like you should. Next up, I want to talk a little bit about motivation. So I would say the biggest thing is that you actually have to try. So I know it's tempting to just like fall into like the peer pressure of like, oh, this is stupid, like why are we doing this, or like I don't want to be doing this, like I'm not going to try because it doesn't matter, or doesn't matter for college or whatever. That mindset is just going to get you so many places in life that you don't want to be. And like that's going to follow you until you finally learn like to start taking accountability for your actions. So whether that's with studying or actually doing your work, not copying off of others, just do your best and actually try. I'm not saying that you have to be brilliant. You don't have to be great at math, whatever, but what you do have to do is actually try and actually put in the work to understand it. So if that means getting extra help, talking to your teacher after class, or just actually studying when you're supposed to, definitely do that because it's only going to help you. Next up, really quickly, I want to talk about organization. So with this, I would say the main thing is just to have somewhere that you keep everything written down. So whether that's a note on your phone or a app on your iPad or a actual physical planner, you need some way to stay organized. You need to write down assignments as soon as you get them. You need to write down when your tests are and like write them on the day that you know about them, or write them on the day that it's actually whatever's going to work for you. You need to write down like your plans, like, oh, I'm going to study for this day, work on this assignment this day. If you think you can remember it all, you can't. And that's one day you're going to find yourself in a tough situation because you couldn't remember something and it's due and now you don't have it. So I know for me, I started off with like a physical planner and that worked really great for me while I actually stayed consistent with it. But then I had a little bit of an iPad era where I thought it was fun to write things on my iPad. And ultimately, senior year, I just switched to my phone and on my notes app because it doesn't matter where it is, as long as you're actually going to go off of it and actually use it, that's what matters. So the last section, I guess you could call my encouragement for high school students. So with this, I would say just don't give up. Things are going to get tough at some points, but you're always stronger than you think. And ultimately, getting through hard things is just going to build character and make you a better person. And lastly, I want to say everyone is going through something, whether you know it or not. So don't find yourself comparing to people and being like, oh, they have everything figured out. Like, I'm behind in this area, or like, I don't do this as well as them. Because honestly, everyone is going through something and they're just not telling you about it. Like, there was one girl that I always thought like, oh, she's just like so great. She has like the best fashion. She has her whole life together. Like, she's so cool, whatever. And then I found out something like about her that she was like going through and dealing with that I had no idea, and I would have never guessed that about her. And that's the same with like honestly lots of people. Like when things come out, you're like, oh really? Like I would have never guessed that about you. Like I just thought like everything was fine for you. And even I've had people tell me like, oh, like your life's like, oh, you have everything figured out, like you're so put together. And then like I'll be like crying the night before, like having a mental breakdown. So it's like, honestly, it's all up to you whether you choose to tell people about what you're going through or keep it private, but just know that you're not alone and everyone is going through something. But you can talk to people if you need help, or you can wing it and just like I don't know. That's probably not going to get you anywhere. But just know that you can always talk to people if you need help, whether that's a parent, a teacher, a friend, a mentor, a counselor, whatever that looks like for you, because you deserve to be the best version of yourself that you possibly can. Okay, so that is actually it for my high school advice video. I hope you found at least one thing helpful and you got a little bit of a better idea about what high school is like, and I hope that answers some of your questions. If you have any more questions for me or you want to know specific info about something, don't hesitate to leave it in the comments and I'll definitely respond to those. And also just comment any other ideas that you want to see me do in the future. I hope you're all having an amazing summer. I hope you're ready to take on this next school year, whatever grade you're in. And always remember to make today great. Bye, guys!